Hi, I'm Prasad Michael. Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak is back in the courtroom today. This time it's in connection to the alleged abuse of power and money laundering of 1MDB funds after the prosecution closed its case on the 42 million ringgit SRC international trial yesterday. Najib appeared to be in a good mood as he arrived at the Kuala Lumpur High Court. He was greeted by several supporters, including UMNO's Jamal Yunus. Najib stands trial for over 25 counts of power abuse and money laundering for allegedly receiving 2.28 billion ringgit, which originated from 1MDB through Tenor Finance Corp, a company owned by Eric Tan, a close associate to fugitive businessperson Jho Low. Here's where things get more interesting, and it's only the first day. Lead prosecutor Gopal Sri told the Kuala Lumpur High Court that the prosecution would prove how fugitive businessperson Jho Low was a mirror image of Najib. Gopal said that the prosecution will prove that the accused, by his words and conduct, made it clear to 1MDB officers, its board and others that Jho Low was his alter ego. In truth, Jho Low was the accused's mirror image. Gopal added that the prosecution will establish facts that will give rise to the irresistible inference that Jho Low and the accused acted as one at all material times. Meanwhile, lead defense counsel Muhammad Shafi Abdullah is skeptical of the prosecution's ability to nail Najib on money laundering charges in his 1MDB trial. Commenting on the prosecution's opening statement, Shafi claimed that it does not matter where the money that the former premier spent came from. Instead, Shafi stressed that what matters in the case is whether Najib knew that the funds that ended up in his account originated from 1MDB. Police Chief Abdul Hamid Badr was quoted by the South China Morning Post today in an article on the widening racial and religious divisions in Malaysia, fueled by social media. He was cited as saying that the deposed party would continue to destabilize and weaken the ruling party. He was asked to elaborate on his quotes by reporters when met in Putrajaya today.
Morning Post, you talked about the deposed party is destabilizing and weakening the ruling party. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? You mean
normally it happens like that when there's a change of government. I'm not accusing anyone, but I said it is normal for things like that to happen. The deposed party will try to weaken the one who won. That's all. As simple as that. Don't twist it.
The article also cited A. Khadi Jasin, the Prime Minister's media advisor, stating that there was a need for the authorities to act decisively against people who misuse social media, including shutting down websites and arresting people for inflammatory posts. A waste of time and resources. That's just some of the criticism directed at Malaysia's first flying car project. However, Entrepreneur Development Minister Muhammad Redzwan Yusof remains unfazed. Redzwan said Malaysia stands by its first flying car project despite being criticized by various parties, including United Nations Special Rapporteur Philip Alston. The UN official was reported to have said that the car venture would be a waste of resources and time for Malaysia, which should instead prepare for the effects of climate change, which are already being felt. Alston also said that the flying car would not be practical in Malaysia, claiming that there were frequent storms and that it would consume too much fossil fuel. Let's talk about fatwas, or more specifically, one issued against the women's rights group Sisters in Islam. Selangor religious authorities declared the group as deviant. On Monday, the Kuala Lumpur High Court dismissed the group's judicial review application.
We're definitely very disappointed with the decision. However, I cannot say I am surprised, but the fight continues. We will forge on with our work. Whatever is said about Sisters in Islam, the reason that is, at the end of the day, we're here for Muslim women and for women's rights.
In delivering his decision, High Court Judge Noordin Hassan said the Selangor Fatwa Committee complied with all procedures when it issued the fatwa against SIS. Among others, he said it was found that the fatwa issued against SIS remained confined to the matters under the jurisdiction of the Sharia courts, as limited by the federal constitution. Moving on to international news, we often hear about politicians breaking the law, but not so much from the world of technology. Well, that's about to change with one of Silicon Valley's highest profile trade secret theft cases.
Anthony Lewandowski, a pioneer in self-driving car technology, was criminally charged on Tuesday with stealing trade secrets from his former employer Google before joining rival Uber Technologies Incorporated. The 33-count indictment made public by the United States Department of Justice largely mirrors allegation that the Waymo unit of Google parent Alphabet Incorporated, where Lewandowski had worked, made in a 2017 civil lawsuit against Uber, which later settled. His lawyer said Lewandowski stole nothing and that they looked forward to proving his innocence at trial.
Not a single one of these supposedly secret files ever went to Uber or to any other company or person. The government has it dead wrong, and we're confident that the proof and the evidence at trial will prove him innocent.
The judge set a preliminary bail package of $300,000 cash and the pledging as collateral of 2 properties worth $2 million. Another hearing to set final bail terms was scheduled for the 4th of September, as government lawyers said that they needed more time to assess Lewandowski's finances. Lewandowski surrendered his United States and French passports and will wear an ankle bracelet to monitor his whereabouts. A prosecutor expressed concern at the arraignment that Lewandowski might be a flight risk. The defendant, who wore a blue sport jacket and black jeans as his plea was entered, could face up to 10 years in prison on each count if convicted.
It appears that after much tension, the US and China may finally reach a trade deal.
United States President Donald Trump on Monday predicted a trade deal with China after positive gestures by Beijing, calming global markets that have been roiled by new tariffs from the world's 2 largest economies.
And also very big things are happening with China. You probably read the breaking news a little while ago that they want to make a deal. It just came out, and they want calm. And that's a great thing, frankly. And one of the reasons that he's a great leader, President Xi, and one of the reasons that China is a great country is they understand how life works. And that was just announced.
Trump said after a G7 summit of world leaders in France that he believed China was sincere about wanting to reach a deal, citing what he described as increasing economic pressure on Beijing and job losses in the Chinese capital. Meanwhile, Chinese Vice Premier Liu He, who has been leading the talks with Washington, said on Monday that China was willing to resolve the trade dispute through, quote, calm negotiations, and opposed any increase in trade tensions. Trump cited Liu's comments as a positive sign, underscoring his seniority, and repeated his assertion that Chinese officials had contacted US trade counterparts overnight and offered to resume negotiations, an assertion that China has declined to confirm.
And here are several other news highlights from today. And that is all from me today. For more, go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Daily Motion for the latest news updates. I'm Prasad. Thank you for watching. Good night.